Hello, everyone. I'm Fozzie or Cam, and I'm here as always with my co-host Will. How are you doing today, Will?
I'm doing fantastic, Cam. How about you?
I am doing great. You know why? Well, because regular season NBA has come to a close. That's no disrespect to regular season NBA, but we all know how boring it gets towards the end of the season. And I think we've talked about it before, but that's kind of something that lacks in the NBA, that end of season excitement that you have with things like, the NFL. The NFL's we were talking just pre-show, Will. A week 14 game for the NFL can be as exciting as a playoff game, you know? And that's not really the case. That's not always the case for the NBA. It rarely is. But now it's play-in time. Soon to start the playoffs. So let's just go through this play-in tournament lineup. Last night we had the Heat in the Hornets, which I should have just watched the game, like the whole game. I think it was on Prime, so that swayed me away. But I wake up, I my feed is just full of highlights from this game, and I apparently missed the greatest game of all time. But I mean, from the stats I've looked at, from the I don't know, highlights I've seen, whatever, it seemed like LaMelo Ball had one of the best games of his career, one of the most clutch games of his career. Same goes for Colby White and Miles Bridges, which is super impressive. And it's even more impressive that they were able to clutch up like this with Con Knipple going like I think it was 2 for 12 from three, which is awful, especially from someone like Khan, who is the next coming of Curry, you know? So, who's supposed to be the next coming of Curry. I don't know how you feel about that, Will, but um, he is a shooter. He's a great shooter, you know? So, that was 100% surprising. Then we had the Suns Blazers game, which I saw less of. But the Blazers came on top there. I actually thought the Suns were gonna take the dub here. Kind of, kind of, kind of stinks for Devin Booker. I mean, poor guy just plays in Phoenix and never has like a great team. You know, he had KD and he didn't win a ring. Like, ooh, that does bring back our conversation too. I don't want to dive into that again. Not for a little bit. That's gotta rest. I think I have to do some reevaluating. Well, I think that's the problem. I think I might have to do some reevaluating, but that's fine. And then today, it starts soon. Magic 76ers, which directly affects me as a Celtics fan because we play um whoever wins this game. I don't care really who wins. I think we can beat pretty badly both of these teams. I mean, the Sixers without Joel Embiid, even with Joel Embiid, we could beat them. But yeah, especially without. I assume he'll continue to be out for when we play him, right? Well, with the appendicitis stuff.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. First round of playoffs, I heard everyone say. So, yeah, not crazy worried about that. If we choke against one of these teams, I'll lose my mind. Um, then the next big game, well, tonight, the last one that's today, big for you. Warriors Clippers.
Yeah.
I want to hear your analysis. As a Warriors fan through and through, do the Warriors win tonight against a team that isn't the best team in the NBA or something? This is a beatable Clippers team, I think. But as a Warriors fan, what's your take?
As a Warriors fan, I'm incredibly concerned because, first of all, if you look at the Western Conference play-in tournament teams, the Warriors are the only one with a below 500 record. Every other Western Conference play-in tournament team has an above 500 record. And I've talked before about how I felt like when Jimmy Butler went out and the Warriors lost their number two scoring option behind Curry, the season was kind of over at that point. Because if you look at all of the recent NBA champions in the NBA, yes, they have a best player on their team, but they also have a reliable number two scoring option. So any chance the Warriors, I feel like wanted to have any chance to compete in the Western Conference this year, I feel like went out the door when Jimmy Butler got injured, as great as Curry is now. Um, if Steph Curry was going to be fully healthy tonight, then I feel like you could say it's going to be a challenge on the road against Kawhi and the Clippers, but they have a shot because Steph Curry is one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA. But the issue is Steph Curry is still coming back from an injury, and they're going to have him
Yeah.
on a minutes restriction tonight. So with Steph Curry on a minutes restriction, and the Warriors is a below 500 team going on the road against Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, who are an above 500 team. For as amazing as Steph Curry is, the thought of the Warriors winning tonight with him on a minutes restriction and without Jimmy Butler there to help pick up the scoring load for when Steph's off the court, I just have a very hard time believing the Warriors are going to win this game.
I'm rooting for the Warriors, Will. I'm a big Curry fan, you know? I mean, if you're not a Warriors fan, at the least you're a Curry fan. The guy's so entertaining, and I feel like obviously you know this, well, but the guy's just so entertaining to
Yeah.
watch. He's one of the most generational NBA talents of all time, you know. He kind of created a whole new style of basketball in a way with just the insane amount of threes made overall through his career. Um, I didn't know he was on a minutes restriction until you said that, Will. That is not good. They need Curry to throw up like 40 points. That's probably not going to happen with a minutes restriction. Um, do you think the Warriors want to win this game? Do you think they see this, or is this some sort of try to advance for the draft? I don't know. What do you think?
I'm going to say that they do want to win the game just because they have Steph Curry on their team. I feel like when you have one of the greatest NBA players of all time on your team,
I
you
feel like
you
would
always
they
feel
put
like you
him
have a
on a minutes
chance.
restriction though? Like, is that
That
normal?
I mean, that's a good point though, and I guess, that would be the other way to look at it. And honestly, as much as it pains me to say this, as a Warriors fan, I think there would be massive benefits if the Warriors do lose this game tonight because then they could maybe try and get a higher pick in the NBA draft. So, I mean, if the Warriors are trying to lose tonight, I wouldn't have a problem with that because let's say the Warriors somehow did find a way to escape out of this play-in tournament and get the eighth seed. They would play Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in the amazing OKC Thunder in the first round, and there's no way that they would win that series because OKC is just dominating right now.
Yeah, 100%. And I think about OKC a lot, well, when it comes to these basketball, when it comes to these NBA playoffs, they're a team that is almost overstuffed with talent. It is obscene how much t talent they have on their
Yeah.
team. I feel like Chet would be an amazing number one player on your team. He's nasty. Instead, you have someone who's not only better than Chet, but the best possible person to have. He's literally the best NBA. And if you want to get down to details, maybe there are two, three people better, whatever. I don't know. But in that sense, I mean, he's like the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
And that's not to mention the roster depth that they have. I've talked about Jared McCain heading to OKC for nothing and being good, So it's stuff like that. It's little stuff like that. Um, that just makes you think, wow, how could the Celtics beat this team? Then I think, oh wait, we have two top 10 NBA players on our team.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that gives me a lot of hope. But I don't know, bringing some Celtics questions here, Will. Um I am interested to hear what you have to say. I kind of said it. Say the Celtics play, Orlando or the Sixers first round. The Celtics are winning, right? I'm not delusional in saying that.
Oh yeah, I think the Celtics would 100% win that series. Literally, like this is how good I like this is how highly I think of the Celtics right now. Literally the only scenario to where I feel like any doubt could creep in about the Celtics having the chance to win a series would be if they make it to the finals and have to play a team like the Thunder or the Spurs. Then I feel there would be, some cause for pause just because of how much of just generational talents Victor Wembanyama and SGA are. But any series before that, I would pick the Celtics to win any of them because I just think they've been that good this season. And like I've talked about on the podcast before, to me, what makes the Celtics so scary is that you can't say they only have one number one scoring option in Jason Tatum anymore because Jaylen Brown proved to be a number one scoring option this season when Jason Tatum was out. So the fact that they have two number one options now who can
Yeah.
both go off on any given night just makes them even scarier. And that is why even though I say like the only series that would give me cause to pause if I were a Celtics fan would be a series against the Thunder or the Spurs, I could say the exact same thing about the Thunder and the Spurs if they would have to go up against a team like the Celtics with two number one scoring options in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So let's say it's a Thunder Celtics NBA Finals, for instance. I could genuinely see that series going either way because I feel like even though OKC is dominating at historic levels this season, and I agree that SGA has cemented himself as the best player in the NBA, I feel like if there's a team that could knock off a team like the Thunder, the Celtics, I think, could absolutely do it.
Yeah, I mean, I just talked about the depth of the OKC roster, but let's take a look through the Celtics just a little
Yeah.
bit deeper, right? Oh no, the Celtics don't have, I don't know, a reliable big man. No, we have two. We have Booch, who's kind of been not great as of late, and Kata. Kata is literally up for most improved player this year, which is amazing. Oh no, Jason, Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown just don't cut it from the 3-point line. We have Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser's a nasty 3-point shooter. And while he may not be flashy, he may not be the best defender, he's gonna hit every 3-point shot. He's in that starting five for a reason. He adds depth, and he adds that little extra zing from the 3-point line that is really needed. And oh no, we might not have the best point guard. We might not have a good passer. We might not have a reliable starting defender. No, Derek White is probably one of the better all-around players on the Celtics. And then their bench, though, the bench isn't great. That's not true. Peyton Pritchard is one of the best bench riders in the NBA. You got people like Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman, who just dropped 30 points. 30 points. And just casually brushed it off. I think um it might have been Garza who also had a monster game, and Ron Harper who also had like 20 something points. These aren't even our top bench guys. They're kind of mid-tier bench guys, dropping 20s and 30s. Insane work. So honestly, that brings me to like, oh, what if someone goes down in the playoffs? I'm not crazy worried. We have a nat. Oh, okay. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown goes down. I'm losing my mind. It's over probably. So anyone else goes down, we have someone who can take care of it. Who can help them. Um, so it's a good counter to have that. When you're going against a team with such depth like OKC, like we were saying. So I'm confident in the Celtics depth. I'm amazed with OKC's, but I'm confident in the Celts. Um, But moving past that, Will, something we talked about last episode, or I did, was Project Hail Mary, a movie that came out fairly recently. I had the pleasure of seeing it in theaters. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Not a perfect experience, but I think that's also kind of because we've just been treated to such high quality movies as of late, like Sinners, and One Battle, that came out last year, and even the year before that, I think that was Oppenheimer. I might not have been. Maybe it was, I don't know. But like we've been treated very well. So when a movie that's in other years would be, oh, this is great, comes out and it's coming off a year like this, it kind of makes it a little tougher, I think. But I still had a good time with this. I was impressed with the effects. I was impressed with the acting from Ryan Gosling. I'm always a little bit impressed when someone's able to make acting by themselves really entertaining, and that's kind of what he does for the whole movie. So I thought he was phenomenal in it, and I thought it was a really fun movie. You did not feel as positively as I did about this. Why?
Um, well, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with anything you're saying. And let's see, what would I say about this film? I would actually say I've become kinder toward it as I've stepped back and thought about it, because I feel like there's certain movies, like let's take a movie like F1 last year. That's certainly not the best movie ever, and like we've talked about, nowhere near the level of a film like a Top Gun Maverick. But I was also able to acknowledge, I don't think that movie was not trying to be a Top Gun Maverick. That movie was not trying to be the best movie ever. That was just trying to be a fun, decent summer film, and I think it definitely did accomplish it from that standpoint. And from that standpoint, I can give Project Hail Mary its credit, because even though, I mean, I definitely feel like it, would definitely have had a lot of work to do to get into that great movie masterpiece category. I could also acknowledge, I don't think that's the movie, that it was trying to be. I think it was trying to be, a fun, good enough family film, and I think it did accomplish that in large part due to Ryan Gosling's performance. And like you said, it's really impressive when an actor can can act so well, in a space on their own like that. And that was, certainly impressive about Ryan Gosling. That guy has proven that he is an actor who is a massive draw with massive star power. So, even though I definitely don't think it's anywhere near the best movie ever, I could also acknowledge that I don't think it was trying to be that. And when you look at it from the standpoint of, more of a fun family film, movie for all ages type of film, I do think it does a solid job from that standpoint.
It 100% does, and I think I def expectations were an issue for me, especially with the reviews and it having a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's gonna always be misleading, pretty much, unless you're Sinners, or I guess One Battle again. Although I don't think that had 100. Sinners did for a little bit. Um, so yeah, that's gonna set your expectations up, and they're pretty much always gonna be skewed if you go on like, oh, this is gonna be the greatest movie of all time, and obviously it wasn't. But yeah, I do agree with a lot of what you said. Well, I think it definitely is a family fun, good time of a movie. My only real criticism is that the only thing I can really knock it for is being a little too long, dragging it out. I have an issue with how it ends like three times. You have an ending where they leave, where Ryan Gosling and Rocky leave each other, and then it gets dragged on quite a bit there. That annoys me. But well, overall, I was happy with this. It was an original movie while also kind of paying homage to other Hollywood classics. I think that's really creative, making an original picture, but also paying respect. I saw a lot of E.T. there, and obviously a bunch of other, you know, sci-fi movies. I mean, I think it was The Martian, maybe not. First Man, maybe, I don't know. But there's literally another Ryan Gosling, like serious sci-fi movie that I feel like there were elements of in here too. So that's just kind of interesting how they were able to do that. I think Lord and Miller are some really talented directors. I'm a huge fan of 21 Jump Street, and then yeah, go over a little bit. I'm a huge fan of the Lego Movie. Go over a little bit. I'm a huge fan of Spider-Verse, and now here we are and I'm a big fan of this too. So, honestly, well, props to them. I think it's really impressive how they're on this streak of 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 movies while also kind of kind of making them unique in a way, like they made the Lego movie so popular and made it have two sequels. It reinvented Spider-Man and animated movies in general, So yeah, they're doing something right. That's for sure. Um, but moving on from that, well, I had the pleasure this week of randomly at work. I encountered Travion Henderson. I thought this was an interesting thing, and I thought I should bring it up on the podcast because it kind of relates to the podcast. I mean, we talk a lot of ball here, and yeah, it's always nice to mention when you meet, a professional athlete. He was lovely, great guy. I mean, I've always thought he was a great guy. I always never thought anything less, but he really proved it. He took pictures with some of my coworkers. It was very kind. He um he was a great guy. It was truly an awesome experience. And Will, as you know, it's always really cool to meet someone like this, and yeah, it was definitely a fun little thing to break up in my work day, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's just so great that you're able to have that experience with him, Cam. And I feel like situations like that, and I think we can both speak from personal experience about it. I feel like
100%.
those are the types of situations to where they're nerve-wracking, but ultimately completely worthwhile if the person, if the well-known person you're taking a photo with turns out to be someone who's really nice, which it's great to hear Travion Henderson was. And like I can say like from personal experience, and I'm sure you had the same experience, Cam, when you got a photo with Williams Habka a few years back. But when I got a photo with Ralph Macchio a few years back, I knew what a great person Ralph Macchio was. But Ralph Macchio is so popular that, of course, I was going to feel nerves going up to get a photo with him. But even though the nerves were very much there, it turned out to be an experience that I'll remember for the rest of my life because Ralph Macchio couldn't have been nicer when he took the photo with me. And, after we were done taking the photo and I told him, thank you so much, he told me, nice to see you, almost, which I was so touched by because I mean, he had never met me before, and yet he told me nice to see you, which I feel like is something that you normally say to
It's
somebody
personal kind of,
that exactly, yeah. Like I feel like that's something you would normally say to somebody who you know very well, but the fact that he would choose to say that to me, who he was just meeting for the first time, I was very touched by that. So I feel like both of us from personal experience, Cam, whether it's the
100%.
Ralph Macchio experience I had a few years ago, or the experience that you just had over the weekend. I feel like meeting these people and getting photos with them can be very nerve-wracking, but so rewarding when they turn out to be as nice as the people who we've had the privilege of getting photos with. Um, Luckily, they are people who are just such down-to-earth guys.
Yeah, it's really awesome, especially in a world full of kind of crappy celebrities, So yeah, definitely an awesome experience, and it's cool that we've both been able to have experiences like this, It's really, really nice. Um, but one other topic I really want to touch on real quick is a little bit of TV show stuff. There are two shows on right now that I've been watching here, and I've kind of mentioned it on the podcast, less just because you don't watch it. but the shows The Boys and the show Invincible. Um, the Boys is having their final season run here. 8 episodes. We just got episode 3 today, and which I did watch. Invincible is on its, what is this, season 4 for Invincible. Not close to being over yet. It's based off of a comic book, so they're gonna play out the whole comic book series, so it's gonna take a few more seasons. But new episode today. I think this was 7, so the finale will be next week. Haven't watched this yet, but I just want to say quickly that I've been loving both of these seasons of television, and they're both examples of shows that are doing the superhero genre way better than both Marvel and DC are. And I have a lot of love. I mean, as we know, Will, I have a lot of love for Marvel and DC, but I'm telling you, Will, these shows do it better than they are right now. I mean,
Wow.
just the unique take, especially from the boys, and the spin that they're able to put on it is awesome. I'd go more into depth, but they would sort of take away the fun of the shows. Um, but truly, I mean, if you're looking for a show, either Invincible or The Boys, um, yeah, I think they'd be up any show enjoyer's alley. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to get that recommendation off of my chest. Will, are there any shows you're watching right now?
Yeah, so one that I have been watching, and I mean, I will give this show credit for this. It never ceases to give me uh things to talk about it. And that is Daredevil Born Again, which is I haven't seen this week's episode yet, but I have seen the first 4 episodes of season 2, and this show continues to be so fascinating to me because sometimes it'll give me things to praise, and then other times it will give me things to critique. And the thing about Daredevil Born Again is season 1 I thought there were a lot of flaws throughout it, but I thought it ended on a massive high note and went away from the characters that weren't working and put the focus back on characters that fans did care about. So, with how strongly season 1 ended, that gave me hope that maybe season 2 can follow in that direction and pick up off of when season 1 ended. And unfortunately, the first 2 episodes of season 2, I thought just did not do that at all. And while they did bring back some characters that from the original Daredevil series that I do care about, they also went back to all these new characters that they've introduced that I don't care about, and made me and and gave them a ton of screen time, even though I don't care about them. So that was challenging because even though they brought back characters that we cared about, we didn't get to see enough of them, or they didn't get the chance to really get super compelling storylines because they also gave all this attention to characters who were less compelling. So that was disappointing to see, and it was disappointing to see the show be so plot driven when the original series was so character driven. So that was very disappointing. But on a positive note, I can say that season 2 is picking up steam. Episode 3 was better, I thought, than episodes 1 and 2. Episode 4 from last week, I thought, was by far their best episode of the season. So I am hoping that things will continue to trend in that direction. And I give Daredevil Born Again season 2 credit for improving as it has gone along so far. But I think the biggest thing that differentiates this series from the original series and makes it where the original series is just that much more elite is that Daredevil Born Again. Let's take last week's episode, episode 4 of season 2, which I thought was the best episode of this season so far. It's the best episode of the season so far, and yet I have to learn to enjoy it in spite of its flaws, because even though there were things that I liked in the episode and that I thought were working well in the episode, there were also things that I thought that were not done well in the episode and that were flawed. And that I feel like is
Yeah,
so
that's
far what
annoying.
has differentiated the original series from this series. Daredevil Born Again, even its best episodes, you have to enjoy them in spite of their flaws, whereas in the original series, you were able to enjoy the episodes because they were just great episodes.
100%. I get that. I've seen that happen to countless shows, I feel like that's a sort of a thing, And it is kind of weird because this is like season 5 of a show too, right? And you kind of
Right.
have to take that into account. So that this is a quality difference is bound to happen, with any um show that goes on for this long. So it does make sense. But it seems like the show is doing well enough to kind of spark the idea that people might want more from The Punisher. So we've
Yeah.
gotten the trailer for The Punisher, which I really liked. However, I don't really know a lot about Frank Castle. I think you can speak better to that, Will.
Yeah, so I will say this. Frank Castle, at least so far to me, has been a character who I feel like um works better within the world of Daredevil than on his own. I liked him in Daredevil season 2. I loved him in Daredevil Born Again season 1, and I watched, I think it was the first couple episodes of the Punisher series, and I just didn't find him nearly as compelling in there as I did in the Daredevil show. And yet, when I saw this trailer for the Punisher special, The Punisher One Last Kill, I have to give Marvel credit where credit is due. I thought the trailer was excellent. Like all of the aspects that make Frank Castle a compelling character were there, and it had all the gritty, dark vibes that I would want from a TV special about the Punisher. So the trailer, I give Marvel their props. The trailer I thought was excellent. But my concern is just that I assume this special is going to be, I would assume, probably around an hour in length. And Frank Castle is a character who we're used to seeing in series that have um, multiple episodes per season. And I just worry that a 1 hour special is not going to have the time to tell the story about Frank Castle that a Punisher season would, or that a season of Daredevil that features him across multiple episodes would. So that is my trepidation right now, in spite of how excellent I thought that trailer was.
Yeah, I understand that. Although you may have to get used to seeing him in more movie format, Will, just because of Brand New Day coming out soon. It seems
Yeah.
like he'll be a big part of that. But it does make me want to dive deeper, like you always say this, into the Daredevil and Punisher world, which I think I will, and I'll probably be around for this special. So yeah, it looked great, and I'm intrigued. And it's kind of something unique for Marvel, So, yeah, thank you all very much for watching this episode of the Everything Podcast. I think we should do an episode on Marvel specials. It's such an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Anyways, um, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.